This video, we are going to take your long picture frame wood pieces and we are going to cut them into the individual 7 and 9-inch pieces, and also cut the 45-degree bevels on the corner so we can fit them up into a picture frame. In order to come into the shop, again, you have to have the video watched all the way through, and you have to click submit or turn in on the video assignment after answering all of the questions, and watch all the way to the end in order to finish the video to come in the shop. Now you also have to have, for this step, your routing done. We just did the routing where you put the rabbet groove here for your glass and picture and backer board. And if you chose to, we have the round over. Again, it is not required, it is optional. But to this step, we are going to cut it into our 4 pieces of the frame. So once you've got all those prerequisites made, we are going to get ready to go in the shop with our safety glasses again. So again, you come back in here. If you do not wear glasses, you'll be getting glasses from the top 3 shells. If you do wear glasses, you'll be getting safety glasses from the bottom 2 shells. I am wearing contacts today, so I'm going to take my glasses, gently close the cabinet to keep them as dust free as possible, at least out here, and put them on. Again, as we come to the shop, make sure you have permission to enter the shop. If you're at the beginning of class, the teacher will tell you when it's okay to come in. If it's in the middle of class and you pass through the video steps and everyone else is working in the shop, please come in. So you're going to open the door. And again, remember, gently close it behind you to make sure to keep as much dust and sound down as possible. Again, first step is the hearing protection. So you're going to come over to the cabinet. Ear protection. You're going to grab the bottom corner and grab a pair of headphones. Again, if the earpiece is loose, you can easily put that back in. So close that right away so that we don't get dust in our ear protection. We're going to put that on. Now we're going to come over here to the bandsaw. The first bandsaw is this standalone one right here. On this, we are going to be separating our pieces, so into these smaller pieces here. So we're going to take one piece here first. As discussed in our safety rules, we do not adjust the saw guide. This is our saw guide right here. Do not mess with it. It is set to be the perfect height to just clear your wood, to keep the blade tracking straight and to keep you safe. So we're going to start by cutting this so the groove is against our miter sled right here. So this is our miter sled. It is meant to keep your piece of wood at 90 degrees. It's just a little off because the blade isn't quite at 90 degrees. The saw got bent and shipping. So we're gonna have that here. The groove needs to be against the miter sled so that we can see the line better. It also helps cut easier. So that means our 7-inch side, the short side with our lines, is over here on the left. The 9-inch side, the long side, is over here in the sled. We want this so it's safer to cut all the steps. So what we're gonna do is line this up so that the saw blade is on the inside edge of the line. And I'm gonna show you that here in a second. So as we do this, the reason I'm gonna say we don't cut inside the line is we want to leave the pencil line on the wood after we cut it so that we still have the actual length of wood left over. If we cut right on this line, our wood's gonna be too short after we make this cut and the next cut and we sand it. So where you actually wanna line up the saw blade is just inside on the scrap. So 1 blade width approximately inside. So when we line this up, we're gonna put the blade lined up to the inside of the line. So the blade is going to be on the inside of this, and we're going to lock our right hand on it. So our right hand is going to be around there with our thumb and pinch this right back against the sled. So I'm lined up on the inside edge of my pencil line. I've got it locked in here. I'm going to pull it off of the throat plate. This red disc is the throat plate. And then I'm going to turn the saw on with the flip of the switch. Let it get up to speed. Now I will 4-corner hold this cut here with my left hand out. Slowly line it up and cut. Once it's through, pull that left piece off, slide the right side out, and bring them back. You can just see that pencil line right at the edge of that piece here. A little bit of pencil line on the edge. We're gonna take this piece and set it down below. Now we're gonna cut this scrap off here. We cannot hold it with our left hand because we'll cut our fingers off. So we're gonna use only our right hand. Put your left hand off the table entirely. It's down to my side right here. I'm going to line it up with that mark, kind of inside edge of the blade. And then we're going to push that through carefully. And again, pull that off there. You can see I have just a little bit of scrap left on the edge. A little more than I'd like, but that's okay. Now I have this piece stuck here. I cannot go grab that because the blade is running. I don't want to stick my wood through it because if I jam that against the blade, I could cut this and ruin it. So the safe bet, we're gonna turn it off and wait until the blade stops. So the blade is still spinning. Check right here along the guard. You can see that the teeth have stopped moving. So now it is safe to grab this piece. So I've got one piece done, and now I'm gonna do the second piece. So I'm just gonna set that there, swap my pieces out, do the same thing, grooved side against this, the sled. I'm gonna line it up again just on the inside of the line here. So it's not on the line, it's just inside the line. Lock it in place with my right hand pinching around here. Left hand gonna turn it on. 4 corner pinching. Check my line up before I touch the blade. And then I'm gonna run it in. Pull them off the blade. That one I got a little close and there's barely a shadow of the pencil line, so I got a little close there. Now I'm gonna come over here and do the same thing, cut on the scrap side of the line, not the line, the scrap side. So get it next to it. Okay, I got a little bit better. There's my line right on the edge of the wood there. Again, piece there, turn the saw off, wait for it to stop. I visibly check the blade has come to a stop. So I take my little piece of wood. I am now going to become the dust collection on this saw because it is movable, so we don't have dust collection. So you're gonna grab the dust pan from down here. I would just put this down on the case. Again, we talked before, we're learning about the rules, so you have to keep this completely clean here. So do the very best you can, get the top clean, especially this groove. We want that little track groove there to be cleaned out so we don't scratch the cast iron top. So you get the top, do a little bit right here in the case. Once you have that cleaned off, you can put the T-track miter gauge back in. I would pick your pieces up off of the case there, set them up here. And then you gotta go through and dust this off as well. So you may have to get this little hose piece here and then get the case. As we go around, you can sweep up your little pieces. And there's been the garbage can just off to the side. So once you got all that cleaned up, the garbage can is this old vacuum tub right underneath the end of the workbench here. You can dump it in, brush that out. Again, practice your brush and handle skills. Right there, this goes back underneath. And then we have our pieces. Make sure again, one more time, it's cleaned up. All good. You should have 4 pieces now. 2 of the shorter 7-inch and 2 of the 9-inch. Once you have this initial cut done, we're going to cut these angles now over on the bandsaws. As you walk over, make sure you stay outside the red lines as other people might be using them. If you were the first one up, you need to make sure the dust collection is set up properly. So we're gonna use the blue dust collector. For this one, the top needs to be closed and the bottom needs to be open. And if you go to each tool, there is a blast gate right here. Up is open, down is closed, so make sure it's up. It kind of works, but it's helpful. So now we're here at this bandsaw. Bandsaw 2 and bandsaw 1 are the same. We do the same thing. This is a lengthy process, and so we just use both saws. So to set this up, we have our sled here. This is our jig for cutting the 45-degree angles, and we have clamps to hold them in place. So what we're gonna do to cut this is the groove is gonna face the blade, and we're gonna get this line here lined up with this gap in the board that here is called a kerf. So you make sure we set this flat against the sled, and you're gonna line up the corner of your wood and your pencil line roughly here on this sled. It's right with this little corner. On the other one, you kind of guess and check. So you're going to take your clamp and put it right in the middle of your piece of wood and gently clamp it down. It doesn't have to be super Loctite. But what we do is we're going to put this here up next to the blade. So we're not touching the blade because we don't want to dent your wood if we have the lineup wrong. But what we're aiming for is that the lineup, if you kind of squat down a little low, the lineup of this groove here and the blade are lined up. So you want your pencil line just a little bit on this side to the right. So you want that blade to be just on the scrap side of your line. Again, so just a little bit off there. So right now I have a really big gap, so I'm going to bring it back past the throat plate. Anytime you touch the wood down here and adjust it, it needs to be this side of the throat plate so we don't touch the more exposed blade. So I'm gonna loosen this a hair and just bring it back tiny bit closer. And I lock it back down, I bring it back up, I get down and check my angle, and that is looking right on the money. Again, I want to leave the angle line here as I do it. So once I got that lined up, again, I don't start against it, so I pull it back, and then I get the saw. The dust collection will be running, so before I cut, I should turn on the blue dust collector. I'm going to make sure I'm good and lined up. When I run this through, my hands will be out on the corners, so they're away from the blades. And I want to make sure when I push it through, I don't push it so hard that it smashes into the stop block. That is an emergency stop. So when you cut this, go slow. So I want to turn the saw on, let it get up to speed, and check my cut and make sure it goes nice and slow. Now I'm going to slow down right at the end. Once it cuts through, I very slowly, carefully pull it back, all the way back past the throat plate. I'm going to leave the saw running so that the motor can stay cool. I take my little cut piece off, set it down below. I'm going to loosen this just enough that I can turn it. I don't want it all the way on. Once you get that, you're just going to pivot the piece. Line it up here, the same thing at the corner. Put your clamp on. Now we gotta be careful because the machine is running. So when we go up to check it, we're gonna get it next to the blade, not touching the blade. And we check our line up. I'm looking pretty good, maybe a little too close. So I'm gonna back it up past the throat plate and bring it away from the blade just a tiny little bit. And I'll lock it back in and double check before I cut. Looks a little unsure here. I'm gonna check one more time. That should be okay. It'll be right next to the line. So I'm gonna run it. And I am right next to the line. Bring it all the way back past the throat plate. And I got this piece. And then I cut really close to the line. You can just barely see the pencil line. You're gonna do that same process for all 4 of your pieces. So cut the one side, double check it, cut it, rotate it around. You're gonna do that for all 4 pieces. We'll come back to you when I got all 4 pieces cut.
But wait, there's more.
Okay, one thing before we go away. Once you've made this cut, you want to make sure that when you take the clamp off, it sits on top of this piece here. If you bring that over and this clamp is hanging off the end, when you go to make the cut, it's going to bump into the stop block and you won't be able to cut all the way through your piece. So make sure when you're done with your clamps, you set it on top here. And you always want to make sure that when you're getting it lined up, your piece is fully tight against here. Good luck finishing all of your pieces. Be safe, keep your hands away from the blades, and remember when you make your adjustments, fully pulled back past the throat plate so you don't get cut. Be safe. We'll see you in a moment. All right, so now that I have finished my last cut, I made sure the blade is stopped, and I have all 4 pieces cut here. I got my 2 short pieces and my 2 long pieces, and I have all my scraps. Now it's time to clean up. If you're all done and you're the only one cutting, again, go ahead and shut off the dust collection. If there's a whole line of people, keep the dust collection going. So first steps we're gonna do is make sure our tabletop here on the saw is cleaned off. First little trick we do, because we want to get rid of all the dust on the inside of our sheet of our sled here, or jig. So what we're gonna do is just tip this up a little bit and tap on the back. Just a couple of knocks. Don't go crazy. Don't end up dropping it, because if this breaks, I'm gonna be a little upset because it takes me a long time to make them. So I take this very carefully, set that down on the counter. You're going to get your dustpan. So for saw 2, it's on the wall to the right. For saw 1, it's on the wall to the left. So we're gonna take your dustpan. Again, first thing, like I said before, get the tabletop cleaned off, especially on these ones, because we're sliding that whole jig sled over this. So make sure you're getting all the areas. Just be really careful not to knock that stop block out of there. Otherwise, we're gonna have to shut down the saw while I get that reset in place. So once you get the top, go ahead and put the sled back on there carefully. You are going to, the easiest way to do it is to take this runner right here, hold on to it 2 hands, line that runner up with the groove on the table, and then just set it in there. Once that's up there, we gotta clean the underside of the saw. Even though we had the dust collection on, it doesn't work very well. So what we're gonna do is come down here again, get the hose area, and put the dustpan underneath there, get the hose area, kind of anyway. Then you're gonna get the table underneath. You're going to sweep up all the little pieces, and then you get all the dust over here as well. And if there's a bunch of dust on this little section, you can sweep that off. Once you have that swept up, we have the big garbage can right here in the middle. Again, dump, tap. See if you can do round 3 of the brush into the dustpan, and then hang it up on the hook. Once you have that done, double check to make sure that you have all of your pieces. And then you are going to clean up. We are going to make sure that is done. Get all your pieces. We're going to move out of the way, outside the red line. We're going to come back over and grab your hearing protection. We're going to put it into the cabinet again, pull the bottom corner, place it inside, and then make sure it's closed. Your safety glasses are still on at this point. We're going to then walk out of the shop quickly but safely, since we don't have hearing protection. Open the door, and then I'm going to close it, ensure it is closed. Bring our safety glasses over again. If you're not wearing glasses, it goes on the top 3 shelves, closed by the bows. Glasses go on the bottom 2. One last thing before we're all done. What you need to do is write your name on this. So I'm going to show you where to do that here. So once you're all done in the shop, you want to label these, because your name was on one, but we just cut it. And your initials were on the end, but we just cut those off. So what you're going to do on this routed groove area on all 4 of your pieces, what you're going to do, you can either do it on the vertical edge or the flat spot here. Does not matter, just lightly. So again, we need to be able to see it. You're going to put your first name. So first name, last initial, and your period number on all 4 pieces. You can, again, you can either put it on the bottom there, or if you want, you can put it on the vertical surface. So again, first name, last initial, and your period number on all 4 pieces. It might be easier to do it on the vertical side because it's a slightly larger surface. Just make sure you don't push too hard and you don't go up onto the face. So again, on the groove part, not on the edge, but on the groove, first name, last initial, and period number. So first name, last initial, period number on all 4 pieces. That is crucial so you don't lose your pieces. They don't get mixed up with somebody else's. That name should pretty well stay there until we do our final staining, okay? So you need to make sure, again, first name, last initial, period number is on this groove, the routed groove, on all 4 pieces. Once you got this all done, you're ready to move on to the next step, which is disc sanding, where we're going to smooth out the ends and get them nice and flat and pointy, and it'll give us our perfect 45-degree ends to match our corners. All right, be safe, have fun, pay attention, and good luck.